all day.
Yo, I want to give you guys a little info here today about the best platform to sell sporting goods on because I don't hear anybody else really ever talking about it. So I wanted to give you a little heads up about my favorite app to sell sporting goods on, and I've sold a ton of stuff on there from new retail sporting goods that I pulled out of TJ's and Marshall's and stuff, football gloves. I've sold a lot of used sporting goods on there as well, old helmets, old sticks, bats, that kind of stuff, gloves, you name it, bags. I've sold it on there. But without a doubt, the best place to sell used sporting goods is SidelineSwap. It's definitely a sleeper or a sleeper app. And it's one of the newer ones, one of the newer platforms for selling on. So I don't hear a lot of people selling on there. But my niche is actually sporting goods. So to me, like, SidelineSwap is more important than Poshmark or any of the other niche ones that sell specific type of products. Like Goat and StockX, I do a lot on there, obviously, because of sneakers. But sporting goods is my number one selling item. That's what I know the most about, and that's what I sell the most of because I played a lot of sports, as you can see. I'm into sports as well, played football or whatever. But so I'm used to buying that stuff and I know how it works. And kind of SidelineSwap is kind of like play it against sports, but online, and you can consign through them. And the fee is very low, like 9.5%. One thing, it's a little bit different, like listing wise and everything, but most things are in there. Most products are in there. You can't really copy listings. You have to know what you have, but other than that, it's very easy to use. The shipping, actually, you don't even have to calculate shipping. It's already calculated for you. You just put in there ahead of time what you think the item is and weighs, and then the buyer pays that, and everything's handled there for you. You just automatically print out a label that automatically generates for you. You don't have to worry about getting it wrong or anything like that. So definitely don't sleep on SidelineSwap because I feel like a ton of people are. I don't see anybody talking about it. I don't see any of the other resellers really mentioning it on their videos or anything like that. But I've sold more sporting goods on there than maybe even eBay, in the short time that I've been doing it. Specifically, the two sports that really, really pop on there are hockey and lacrosse, right? And so I believe it's become sort of a swap meet of hockey gear, but it's definitely strongest with those two sports, and they are fringe sports. So to me, that's kind of like targeting an entire market on one app, and I've spoke about that before on other videos about which app is the best, but I wanted to give some straight up love to SidelineSwap because a lot of people want to know where to sell things and where to look things up. You won't do very well looking items up, what they sold for comp price wise on SidelineSwap, but what you want to do is go on eBay, make your listing there. As I mentioned in a previous video, you want to be cross-posting. If you're not cross-posting, you're losing. And you want to cross-post and then make your listing on eBay, search the sold price, the price comps on there, and then use those price comps to price your item on SidelineSwap. It's that simple. You just use one of the apps to figure out the information you need for the other one, and at that point you'll probably be one of the best items out there because the other thing is SidelineSwap isn't super saturated. So if you have an item that's a good item, chances are you're one of the only ones on that app selling it, and so therefore somebody's more likely to buy from you via bundle or just because they like the format of the app better and they trust it better. There is no funny business like on eBay as far as returns. It's just like Mercury and Poshmark set up that way, where the buyer has 3 days to investigate the item, decide whether or not they accept it, and once they accept it, it's a done deal. They can't return it or decide 3 days down the road that they don't want it anymore or anything like that. So definitely, if you're in this reselling game, even if you're brand new, there's no store fee with SidelineSwap. Everything is done by what you sold. Get in there, start what they call a locker, which is your store. Start putting your used sporting goods in your locker, and you'll see them pop. And it's super easy to transfer the money right to your bank account. I suggest, if you're going to do this the way I do with multiple platforms, that you get one bank account that's a business bank account that's like a center hub for all these different platforms to funnel into. And then once everything's funneled into that one hub, you can kind of pay it out where it needs to go otherwise. You don't really want to be mixing into you're making your own work, your own accounting or whatever you want to call it, you're making that a headache. And so steer clear of that. Not too much else to mention on SidelineSwap, but I wanted to do an actual video on it to get it out there, to let people know that this is a very viable place to sell sporting goods. And just so you know, a lot of people also overlook on like sporting goods that will sell for good money. And just about anything will sell. So look it up. Like I got a used, like a 1985 Huffy orange basketball rim, just the rim off of like a basketball thing. And somebody buys it for $60, $70 plus $30 shipping. And they're going to use that as a decoration or something, some type of Hoosiers setup, or I don't know what they've got going on. But it's definitely something somebody bought. And it's something that if you saw laying around, you would be like, that's freaking junk. I'm just going to let that sit. It's not even something Goodwill would probably sell. So just keep that in mind when it comes to sporting goods. Not everybody has $1 million. They got these kids that outgrow this clothing. And you can get that from other parents. Parents, I would suggest getting on SidelineSwap and selling. But for the ones that aren't, you resellers need to be going to sporting clubs, colleges, universities, teams, and figuring out what their decommissioned stuff, what they're doing with it. A lot of them throw it out. And if you're like, hey, I'll give you X amount of dollars or just let me take it, that's how you can source a bunch of sporting goods supplies that way. But start in your garage as well. Look around. Give it a test trial. Always test trial these apps with your own items and see if they work for you, how you like using them. And then once you know, then you go out and spend money, right? Other than that, I don't think I have too much else to talk about on SidelineSwap, but I wanted to put it on your radar. I wanted to let you know that there's multiple apps out there, and there's probably... this is probably the direction things are going, where apps become more specialized to the item that they're selling, because that makes sense to me. Why sift through a billion other things when all you're looking for is sporting goods, right? And so that makes sense to me. You're going to see more and more people adopt and become buyers on the SidelineSwap app. And so if you're a reseller and you're not on there, you're missing out. It's just like anything else. You want to get in before the flood, so that way you can carve out some market share and gain some reputation there before everyone else does. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it useful. Hopefully SidelineSwap is something that you can use to make money. But I wanted to put it on your radar to let you know that that is the best place to sell sporting goods. Besides eBay, probably, because eBay's still the largest network of people. But you'll sell a lot of that fringe weird equipment on there. And definitely a big hot spot for hockey players and lacrosse players, as those are fringe sports that aren't sold as much on the other platforms. So give it a try, download it, check it out. One thing I do want to let you know is make sure your locker is always updated on there, because they are very picky. They don't like when you sell an item that's not in stock, which as a reseller, you know, does happen from time to time. But I don't think they're really geared towards the high volume reseller yet. But you still want to make sure that your locker is in good order and that you don't do that, because that is actually a little bit more of a workaround than it is on any of the other apps. But again, I hope you like this video. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, or comment some items that you've sold on SidelineSwap or some of the favorite apps you have. But hopefully you gained something from this video and learned a new app that you can sell on now, and learn some new items that you maybe want to look for while you're outsourcing. Until next time, take it easy and keep on flipping.